Migration was released in 2023, but in the UK and Ireland it was released in 2024 and was directed by Benjamin Renner. It tells the story of a family of ducks who leave their pond as they want to go on a trip to Jamaica. However, they end up getting lost in the big city of New York, which leads them to an experience that inspires them to expand their horizons and open up to new possibilities. So, we saw Migration yesterday. I'm with Daragh Doherty.
Hello, everybody.
And we saw Migration yesterday in ODEON, and I have to say, I came out pleasantly surprised.
Me too, I came out very pleasantly surprised.
I actually was so surprised by how much fun I had with the plot. It's not like something like, I wouldn't call it like an amazing plot. Like, it didn't have like anything like, it wasn't like emotionally impactful, but I felt the storyline was very heartwarming, very charming, very entertaining. Very funny. Now, I did think at times one of my big flaw was I felt some of the jokes were a little over the top. I would say a little bit over the top. But I actually was so surprised by how much I enjoyed the story, how fun it was, and it has a good sense of escapism, I think. Like, it's quite nice, light-hearted fun. I just think overall the storyline was very fun and a lot of heart.
Yeah, it was a very good movie. Like, when I first saw the trailers, I thought it was just going to be pretty generic because you have this family of ducks going on a migration. You think to yourself, that's a fairly simple story. But no, I actually think it was quite emotional at times.
Yeah.
The family dynamic is very good. The characters are all very entertaining.
100%.
And the music is very good as well, actually.
Oh,
the
yeah.
music adds to the emotional scenes.
Yeah, I think as well, I was so surprised with, like I say, it was a lot of fun. I did think some parts were just kind of like, I was kind of going, okay, that's maybe a little over the top. Like maybe one or two jokes, I was kind of going, that's a little, wouldn't say cringy, but a bit over the top. I think my favourite scene was probably with the water slide. That scene, I think, is great. And I do love the ending. I actually would like to see a sequel if they ever got to make it.
I would like to see a sequel, but at the same time, I'd like to see Illumination do a lot more original movies post Despicable Me 4. Because we don't really know what's coming next after Despicable Me 4.
True. I was just surprised with like how the story was and how much fun it was. And I think as well the animation was gorgeous. It was beautiful. The human designs, they were, as cartoonish they weren't too bad. I think as well the designs on the ducks and the different birds we get to see is stunning, and the clouds, the flying sequences, it's gorgeous to look at, like so visually stunning.
It's very experimental for Illumination, isn't it? That it doesn't feel like their typical generic plain human designs, and I dare say ugly human designs. But it goes in a little bit more of a DreamWorks-y kind of art style.
I think I can sort of see a comparison with the human designs. You could kind of compare them to the human designs from the bad guys. But yeah, no, I would agree. It is very kind of, some shots I was kind of going, it is very DreamWorksy. Some shots actually reminded me of Rio and Legend of the Guardians. Now, it's just some of the flying sequences and some of the colours and some of the lighting. Like, you know, the bit where you see all the different birds, that kind of reminded me of Rio too. And then the shot where they're flying through the clouds for the first time reminded me so much of the Owls of Ga'Hoole when Soren and Gylfi are flying for the first time. I just thought there were some scenes that just reminded me of other animated films. But, like, I thought that was cool. Yeah. I just thought visually it was just, I was amazed by how good the visuals were, especially on the big screen.
And even my family were saying it's so similar to Rio, but especially when you get to Jamaica with the animation, that looks incredible.
Oh yeah, no, and the colours as well.
And the water glowing and everything else.
Oh yeah, the water, I was like amazed. Like, I thought the water in the Mario movie looked stunning, and the Mario movie still looked visually beautiful. I just thought here the visuals were like insane. I was like, holy crap, these are some good looking visuals.
Illumination's definitely going in a very interesting direction, both in terms of its stories and also its animation quality.
Yeah.
And it's just good to see animation studios being experimental, being creative, trying different things, and trying different types of stories, and letting newer talent show everybody what they can do.
Yeah, I think as well, it's just nice to see, because a lot of animation studios have become much more experimental. Like DreamWorks has taken on much more cartoony art styles.
Yeah.
And they're obviously, like with the Bad Guys and Puss in Boots 2, they were both inspired by Spider-Verse. Whereas here, Illumination seems to be going in a bit more realistic. Like with the Mario movie, a lot of it was like, it was a very faithful film to the Mario franchise.
It just looked like the games, and that's what you
Absolutely.
wanted for a Mario movie, that it just
Absolutely.
to look like the games.
Yeah, no, definitely. And here, like, it's kind of a mix of both cartoony and realism. But it just gels well. Like, it's so nice to look at.
It's very nice to look at, but I will say this. Anytime you see the eyes inflate and they just go extremely big, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, true. Especially at the ending.
Especially, remember that scene where the chef is running through the kitchen and he's going after the ducks and his eyes are just, they're like 2 golf balls. They're just so big. And I was like, whoa, maybe that's a little bit over the top there.
Yeah. I think the characters as well, I really liked the family. I thought the son and the daughter were good characters. There's a joke with the daughter that, you know, with the brother and the sister says to her brother. I don't want to spoil it, but it genuinely made me laugh my ass off in the cinema. I also thought the parents were good characters. I suppose the dad was a little cliche of being overprotective a little, but I still thought he was a pretty solid character. And I thought every other character was pretty good too. The villain sucked, but you know what? I thought the villain was just hilarious with how bad he was. Because, like, he does stuff, but he has zero character development to him.
And he just does stuff, and I didn't like how he was just completely silent for the entire movie. That the studio was too lazy to at least pay an actor to do the voice.
Yeah, but I actually think as well, there were some characters I felt where I was surprised they weren't in the movie as much as I thought. Mm-hmm. But I do think, you know, it kind of made sense. I was just kind of surprised by that.
Because Awkwafina's character wasn't in the movie much.
Yeah, and Chump was very funny, I thought. But I did think, I was kind of saying, some characters aren't in it as I thought they'd be. They got time to shine, but I was kind of going, maybe they could have been in it a bit more. But I was surprised with the characters, and the dynamic they have is so well done, so, you know, well written. And there wasn't a single bad character, and a lot of the jokes, especially that joke I mentioned earlier, was just hilarious. I thought I was laughing my ass off at a lot of the jokes.
And it's an open book ending as well. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it definitely sets up a sequel, and I'd definitely like to see one.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what direction they go in with a sequel. I think the characters were very entertaining to watch, actually. I thought the dad was just going to be the typical annoying, overprotective parent. It actually gave me Finding Nemo vibes.
Yeah, I can see it.
A little bit.
I suppose with the third act as well, that kind of would remind you a bit of Finding Nemo as well.
That you have the dad who's a little bit more reserved, you have the mother who's the adventurous one, the optimistic one, as they call it in the movie. I think the son and the daughter were actually very funny. Yeah. I think at times the daughter is a little bit creepy, but in all the right ways.
Yeah. I just think that joke, though, with the daughter in the beginning is just hilarious.
Like, that's just comedy gold.
Yeah,
how are Illumination doing it with comedy lately?
I think, like, this and Despicable Me 2 are the funniest films by the company.
And the Mario movie was actually pretty funny as well, especially the fact that you had Jack Black playing Bowser.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think as well, the soundtrack, actually done by John Powell, really, really good.
And we only found that out at the end of the movie, didn't we?
Yeah, well, I think I knew, but I completely forgot. And I was so surprised. I was like, oh my god, no wonder the music is so good. And the music is very good.
Didn't John Powell do the music for Ice Age?
Yes, he did the music for Ice Age, the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, and The Call of the Wild.
Oh, so he's a pretty good resume.
He is. I know he's very good, actually.
A very good CV.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, the music is so good, and anytime you get an emotional moment in the movie, the music just complements it, and it just adds more weight to it. And it's also very good from a comedy angle, because the music plays into some of the jokes.
I know, I agree. I think the music is fantastic. I think...
Because I thought it was just going to be, Illumination classic pop music that they're just using because it's trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which is what they've been doing for years. But they actually do their own original music that isn't a pop song.
No, I agree, because I think as well, the soundtrack, it was very good. And I think overall, I'd say I only have like my only issues really is just some jokes are a little over the top. I think the villain, it's just hilarious with how crap of a villain he is. But I overall had a lot of fun with Migration. I thought the storyline was very good, animation was gorgeous, music was really good, the characters were really good, and my overall rating, I'd have to give Migration an 8 out of 10.
I think for me, the story was very engaging, very heartfelt, very heartwarming, and very well crafted. It was very well written. The characters were all very fun. They were all very funny. The jokes were very funny. There were one or two jokes that were very childish.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to expect at least one or two childish jokes in animated movies.
True.
And you could say the same about a lot of other animated movies.
Yeah. Or films in general.
And films in general as well. There's going to be jokes for the kids. There's going to be jokes for the adults. You have to have a good balance, and everybody in the cinema was laughing.
Yeah.
And the music is very good, and the animation is very experimental, but it's a very interesting and a new direction for Illumination. I think we might be entering a new era.
Yeah, please God.
Please God. Let's hope Despicable Me 4 delivers as well. I think a rating for me, I'm going to have to agree with you, Lee. I'm going to have to give an 8 out of 10. We had a little short that played before the movie.
Yes. Mooned. Yeah. You give your thoughts first, actually.
I thought Mooned was very disappointing. They were marketing it as if it was some sort of setup that teased Despicable Me 4. So what happens in the short, it follows on from the end of the first Despicable Me, where Vector is trapped on the moon, and he's trying to figure out how to get off the moon, and he's inventing all these silly, crazy inventions to try and get himself off.
Yeah.
Every time he tries to do it, he fails miserably.
Yeah, well, I thought it was good enough. I didn't think it was bad.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like great. Like, I just thought it was decent, funny. I think as well it was just more something like I felt like I should have seen that a long time ago.
Yeah, it's way too late now, because Despicable Me came out in 2010. We're now in 2024, so we're 14 years down the road.
Especially since it has, I mean, maybe it could serve a purpose later on, but like it is more so something I feel I should have seen when I saw maybe Despicable Me 2 on DVD.
That's what I was thinking, actually. Maybe it could have been a tie-in short that played before Despicable Me 2. Because I'm sure everybody was wondering, like, what's Vector up to?
Yeah, I agree.
It is an entertaining short, but I really think it could have benefited from being a setup. But it was just a very disappointing short. It is fun, but it could have been a setup, and we could have seen Vector return. Now, we are getting 2 brand new villains in Despicable Me 4, and they seem really fun. And they're voiced by Sofia Vergara and Will Ferrell.
Yeah, and it doesn't look bad, actually.
And they're both really good choices to play villains, so let's hope it delivers, because we have the infamous Megamind sequel that's coming to us in March with Will Ferrell not coming back, which is stupid. So let's hope he can deliver on another great villain.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually intrigued to see DM4, and I hope it's pretty good.
It's just a very good movie. It's a fun time. The whole family's going to love it. The kids are going to enjoy it. There's stuff in here for the adults. There's stunning animation, great music, great characters, very engaging story, and just a solid movie. It's not shoving anything in your face. It's not generic. It's just fun. And I think Disney and Pixar really need to be taking notes.
Yeah.
And I never thought I'd be saying those words, because I think that Illumination should have been taking notes from Disney and Pixar years ago. But now it's the pendulum is swinging in the opposite direction.
Yeah. I think I've pretty much said what I want to say. I thought Mooned was, I thought it was good enough, and I think Migration is a very good, very fun, and very entertaining movie. So stay tuned for the future videos and future videos with this guy right here. Stay
I'll
tuned.
be back soon, don't worry.
Yeah. We'll be going to Comic-Con together as well. That's
Yeah.
that's going to be good.
Round 3 for me, round 2 for this guy.
Yeah. And so thank you all so much for watching. What did you guys think of migration? Let us know in the comments below. I will leave a link to Dara's page in the description. And so take care, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for future videos. And until then, skidoosh, everyone.